Welcome to Skillcast, the podcast by the London Organisation of Skills Development, where skills are the forefront of all conversations. My name is Nurbanu, and I'll be the host for Season 1. Join me as I dig deep and be a little nosy and find out the story behind the skills our expert guests share with us.
Thank you. My name's Grant Murrell. I'm an international speaker, coach, trainer, international best-selling author and an entrepreneur. And over the past 21 years now, myself and an international team have helped thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, organisations to increase profits, typically up to 200%, often in just a few short months, by essentially working with a team, because everybody does have a team, the systems, their mindset, and of course, the strategy, so that they can live a life of passion, purpose and freedom, and develop a business and a lifestyle that can become a legacy for generations to come.
Oh, wow. How long have you been doing this for?
In various formats, 21 years.
Is that the first thing that you've been doing, or were you doing something else before you started on this
goodness,
path?
yeah. Everything has morphed together. I started out as a musician in a rock band, which taught me an awful lot about people, about personalities, about egos, and about creativity and collaborations. So it taught me an awful lot with that. And I've always been interested in that. So we were musicians, and we were signed to a major company about one week after all those years. 1 week before we was due to record, we were nearly killed in a car accident. So we went for a long time of helping my colleague to convalesce through that. He sustained serious brain damage. I fractured my skull, nearly ripped off one ear, and continuously have tinnitus to this day as a result.
Sorry to hear that. I mean, that must have been an absolute shock for all of you.
Yeah, it was. It was a day that changed our lives, really, the course of our lives. Everybody said, I mean, it was in some of the press at the time about what happened, and we were very young and very scared because, we was not experienced to that kind of loss, that kind of involvement, and everything we'd worked towards was just taken away within seconds, and nothing would ever be the same again. So then we were very young, struggling to make sense of the world and what we would do next, because although I thought my life would start out very conventional, in fact, my life's been anything but conventional since, and that's when I started exploring the other passions of my life, which were aviation and then business.
Yeah, it sounds like business and passion and purpose, and trying to put it all together. Is it common? Because some people who come from backgrounds where business has been their forte, they've got a family history of just owning businesses and then finding purpose in something they already do. Is that what you mean, or are you talking about people who are new to finding businesses and trying to figure out which, or do you do consulting with both?
Yeah, I mean, business is just a vehicle. It's just a vehicle. But when you think of it, it's just the same as music. It's just the same as rock and roll. It's just bringing people together and solving a problem. So if it becomes in music, it's bringing communities together, perhaps with a theme, with a message. That's what that is, and that is a business in itself. But of course, it's from community. And when you look at the most successful businesses now, it does create a community. And in business, we are professional problem solvers. If there is no problem, there is no business. Because this is what we have to be in the habit of, is looking for people's problems and solving them and communicating that message to them better than they can communicate it to themselves. If you can do that, then you've cornered the art of business. Exactly the same as writing a song. If you can convey someone's emotions in a way that they immediately resonate with it, but could not articulate it, that's a hit song.
No, I can see the correlation between the two. Now, tell me a little bit more about communication. I think communicating, because a lot of us have things on our mind, but then we're afraid of what the other person would say and how they would react. Do you have any tips or advice that you could give on just little nuggets on how you can communicate without offending the other person, I say.
Good question, and thank you. I do have some questions for people to ask themselves, because communication is my key subject, and my mission, if you will, is to help 1 million leaders to live life without conventional limits while clearly communicating their message to the world. Because leaders will have access to many, many more people, and that will create an undercurrent, a social change, if you will, in communication, which has so many knock-on effects in reducing crime, in reducing prejudice, in reducing so many things, because most people do live in that word that you mentioned, which is fear. Fear creates greed. Without fear, you have abundance. Without greed, you have abundance. And when people are abundant in their thinking, they are more loving, more open, more accepting. We learn more and we come together more. So communication, I urge everybody to ask themselves about this. We get caught up in everyday life. I hear people say things like, I have to go here, I have to go to work. Why are people having to do things? Why don't people choose to do things? When people come to my workshops or my seminars, I say to them, why are you here? You should know why you're doing anything. So I ask them, why are you at my workshop? I mean, I'm glad you're here, but I hope you came here for a reason. I hope you wanted to get something from this, and I intend to give you that. And you should ask yourself that in everything you do. So I believe that everybody has a message in life, and that message is your communication. Because when you think about it, people worry about what other people think. True, the world is judgmental. We all try to say we're not judgmental. Well, good luck with that, because since we've been crawling around in caves, we've made judgment. We have to make judgments. How do we know we're going to cross the road and get to the other side without the lorry, the truck, the bus hitting us? We make judgment. We have to. That's how we've survived. So we're conditioned to judge. You're judging me right now as you're listening to this, because you're human. You will. It's inevitable. But we make judgments, but we try not to be judgmental. There's a difference. But it's fear, isn't it? When I coach people in public speaking, I say the reason you're scared is because of your ego. You're afraid of people judging you and thinking wrong of you. However, if you start thinking in getting in the minds of your audience, which is exactly what you should be, if you think about delivering from your heart and not from your head, about giving what you have to give to them, then by default, that puts you in their mind. You're serving. And that gets you out of your own head. And then you will never be afraid, because you're coming from a place of passion, a place of purpose. And I said earlier, I help people live a life of passion, purpose, and freedom. That's why purpose is so important. It will eradicate fear and help you. After all, it's often said that when you average everything out, 12 people will come to your funeral. Yes, I know we go to funerals where there's many more, but as many people will have 1 or 2 people. It averages out apparently at 12. So we're worrying about what other people think, and they aren't going to be there. They aren't going to pay your life. They aren't going to pay for your bills. They're not going to pay your mortgages. They're not going to pay for your funeral, and they're not even going to be there. So why the hell are you worrying about that? Instead, why don't you empower yourself? Empower yourself to be free. Free to be who you are. Free to think of your purpose on this earth. And in case anybody's thinking, my purpose is to serve my family, that's a very honourable thing. But purpose is much bigger than that. So ask people, what is your purpose? What must you do while you're on this earth? That is your purpose. If you live life on purpose, you will never do a day's work in your life.
So now you say purpose. How can someone figure out what their purpose is? There's a lot of people, nobody, in this day and age, we're all having these midlife crises, let's say, and everybody's having these career changes. And that's because they think they're supposed to do something, but then they realize they don't really enjoy it, or maybe that's not what I'm meant to do. Right. How can someone find their true purpose and stay on that path and not be astray to the other side?
Yeah, it's a good point, because We live in fear. Now, a lot of social media now, it's a very, very powerful tool, obviously, but it gives images of how we should be. Media plays a big part of this, all media. How we should look, how we should behave, what we should wear. It dictates all these things. Where in fact, none of this is true. It's only a suggestion of how we should be. Now, but if you do this, you become a true follower, whereby leaders have never done this. If you was to look at Picasso, how he dressed in the 1930s, was that how other people were dressed in the 1930s? No. Not at all. Was he afraid? No. Because he was living his life on purpose. So as I say, it's not about what other people want you to do. It's not about what's expected of you from your peers. Because success comes from the environment that you choose to keep. The environment that you choose to keep. If you do this with a supportive environment that encourages you to be yourself, you will not be competing with others. If you try to emulate someone, you've lost immediately, because I cannot be you and you cannot be me. So you've immediately lost. Instead, if you live in your own light, you will always be shining at your best, you will be free, and then you'll be free to think and discover what is your purpose in this life. And that will truly liberate you and set you free.
So definitely just being your own self and just finding who you truly are. And I think I really like what you said and what your work does. I think it helps people unveil that. And through communication, I feel once we're able to understand who we are, we're able to communicate it better as well. So I think it does go hand in hand, finding ourselves, finding who we are. And once we are confident with ourselves, then we're able to communicate. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Once we know ourselves. And of course, none of us are the finished item. And we all make mistakes. I do all the time. But I would say, be in a hurry to make mistakes. Make as many mistakes as you can, as quickly as possible. But analyze them after. Don't beat yourself up about them. Just recognize them and ask yourself, what did I do? Did I represent myself in the best way possible? I don't mean to gain approval from others, but I mean to give the best example of myself as a human being. Did I operate at my best level? And sometimes the answer is no. That's fine, but ask yourself, how could I have been better? How could I have performed at a higher level? I don't mean stressful. I don't mean scoring numbers. I just mean, how can you connect? How could you communicate your message better? And therefore leave a better impact with other people and leave a better footprint on this earth.
Yeah. And forgiving yourself for the mistakes that we make. We need to be kind and compassionate, I feel, to ourselves, because until we are kind to ourselves and we're able to forgive ourselves, that again is liberating in its own right. Well, thank you so much, Grant, for joining me on the podcast. You've been great, and you've given me some really good nuggets that people can pick up on from what you've said. I'll leave Grant's details in the description below, so if you want to reach out to him and learn more about his incredible work about building confidence and finding your purpose and being able to communicate better in your business, his details are all in the description, so reach out to him. Thank you.
Thank you.